I want to start by saying that I am a simple person. I don't ask for much from life. I just wanted to go to the bank, quickly solve a small issue, and return home alive, emotionally intact, and without looking completely incompetent. My only real goal was to leave that institution with an issue resolved stamp on my forehead and return to my routine. But of course, life wasn't going to let that happen. The universe has a vendetta against people who attempt efficiency. The problem, as always, started before I even left the house. My simple goal: go to the bank to fix a registration that was frozen online. A 5-minute task, according to their website. And we all know what that means. The cruelest institutional lie of all. 5 minutes is the time it takes for you to start panicking in line, not the time it takes to actually resolve the problem. I woke up feeling optimistic. That was the capital error. When you wake up motivated and think, "Today I win," you are completely vulnerable to the universe's attacks. Confidence is an armor made of cardboard. I put on clothes too quickly in a rush to act like a productive adult, and only realized afterward that my pants zipper was slightly crooked, not properly closed. And my shirt was wrinkled, looking like I slept inside a backpack tossed into the corner of a train car. I looked in the mirror and thought, this is the best version of me the bank will see today. It's not inspiring, but it's what I've got. Trying to fix it would only make it worse, so I accepted the defeat of my personal presentation early on. On the way, I immediately started questioning every decision I'd ever made. I was walking with my head down, slightly hunched, like someone heading to their own public judgment. And honestly, that's exactly what it felt like. I feel judged by everything. I passed 3 people who seemed to know exactly what they were doing with their lives. The kind of people who have an impeccable morning routine and an organized financial life. One was riding a bike, not really pedaling, but taking a work call in perfect English while replying to a message on their smartwatch. The other held a coffee in a reusable mug without spilling a single drop, with a look of focus that I can only achieve when I am extremely hungry. And me? I was there, trying to remember if I turned off the stove, if the door was locked, if I had my keys, and if I truly existed outside of this state of mild panic. My brain was running 20 simultaneous disaster scenarios. I reached the bank door, and the feeling of institutional dread hit me. I hate banks. Not for existing, but because every time I walk into one, I get the feeling I'm taking a pop math quiz I didn't study for, and I will fail publicly. The air conditioning is too cold, the lights are too white, and everyone looks suspicious, including myself. The line, predictably, was huge. And then there was that electronic ticketing system that never makes sense. 304, 518, A35, B17. I don't know if I'm in a queue, playing bingo, or receiving secret coordinates for a mission I didn't ask for. I took my ticket, which felt like a receipt for humiliation, and looked for a corner to sit and practice the art of looking patient, but internally, I was melting. I alternated between staring at the ceiling and pretending I was replying to a very important email on my phone, just to avoid making eye contact with anyone. They finally called my number. I jumped, startled, as if they had shouted my name in a crowded stadium. I sat down at the teller's desk, and he had that unnerving calm that only people who have discovered the secret of life possess. It was an irritating Zen calm. He wasn't in a hurry. He had no wrinkles. He was the Zen teller. He looked at me and said, "How can I help you?" With a serenity that sharply contrasted with my cold sweat, I replied, "And this is where the spectacle of humiliation begins." I said, in a voice slightly higher than normal, "So, my registration got stuck. It's a quick thing. They said it would take 5 minutes. ... He typed a few things into the computer with the speed of an ancient scribe, looked at the screen, and said, without changing his tone, "Sir, your account is under review." Under review, the phrase that transforms any mortal into a potential felon in 5 seconds flat. It is the most terrifying phrase in the adult vocabulary. What is being reviewed? My life choices. My questionable $10 transactions. I immediately started wondering, did I do something illegal? Did I pay the wrong bill? Did I fail to pay the right bill? Did I breathe too loudly near an ATM? Did I look too intently at the security camera? Did the bank discover that the shirt I'm wearing is inside out? The panic was complete. The teller, sensing my state of shock, began to explain the problem to me. But it was the kind of explanation that only makes sense to other people who work at the bank. He was speaking a language that sounded like English, but wasn't. He said something like, "It's because your registration triggered the internal audit net of the operational security platform's risk analysis sector, and this activated the cross-verification protocol with your recent activity file." And I replied, "Of course, that makes perfect sense." Because that is the universal answer from someone who understood absolutely nothing but doesn't want to admit it to the Zen teller who is silently judging my life choices. I nodded slowly with a forced smile, while internally I was thinking, internal audit net of the operational security platform's risk analysis sector. It's the longest, emptiest sentence I have ever heard. Then came the climax. The hero's fall. The teller said, "Sir, to proceed with the reset, we will need an additional document." I felt my soul exit my body and take a quick lap around the block, because I knew I didn't have that document. I had brought my ID, my card, my wallet, but that specific document, never. I asked in the most hopeful voice possible, "What document would that be? Exactly. Is it something I can email?" He replied, "Proof of residence. It's physical copy. Recent, no older than 60 days. And I thought, proof of residence? I can barely prove that I exist. How am I supposed to prove where I live? I went back home, defeated with the crooked zipper and the wrinkled shirt. I grabbed the proof. I returned to the bank. The trip back was one of pure resignation. And obviously, when I got there, after having traveled across the city twice, they had changed the ticket numbers, and I entered the bingo game again. I took a new ticket and felt even more idiotic. After another eternity, which felt like a month in the waiting line, managed to hand over the document. The teller stamped something because they always stamped something, only for the aesthetic or to justify the paper, said, "All set now. Sir, resolved. The deadline for the account to be reactivated is 48 hours. 48 hours. The entire Odyssey just for another 48 hours of waiting. I left the bank with the feeling that I had won a war. But one of those wars where you don't know if you won, or if you just survived by accident and won a lottery ticket that takes 2 days to scratch off. The wind was blowing on my wrinkled shirt, and it sounded like epic music. Off-key epic music, but epic nonetheless. In the end, I got home, sat on the couch, and realized that being an adult is basically dealing with institutions that treat you like you're a potential riska. Potential scammer with a crooked zipper while all you want is to pay your bills in peace. Moral of the story: if you are also placed under review by the bank simply for existing, welcome to the club. The club of people who are trying, failing, and going back to try again twice in the same day, because apparently that is what adult life demands. And that's okay. We survived another day. If you are also afraid of the bank, we are in this together. Subscribe and share your pain.